Welcome to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the longest-running Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
We're always in control, and when you say Miami, you're talking cerebral. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Friday morning, November 14th. I'm your host, Michael Leva, joined by Doug Lee Durong, who's working on like 1 hour of sleep because he's a good father, good man, staying up with his kid all night. Doug, how you feeling today?
I'm all right. I'll get through it. This isn't the first time, and I got a second one on the way. I'm used to this by now.
Yeah, with the second one on the way, you're really not going to get any sleep. You're going to be shooting videos at 4 a.m. some days. It's going to be great watching your content come out all hours of the night. I love it. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about here as Miami, they're coming off a big win, obviously. There's an article out. We got so much. But first, let me just get through the business stuff real quick. Everyone, this show is brought to you by Caneswear.com. Everyone go to Caneswear.com. Christmas is coming up. Hanukkah's coming up. If you need a gift for the sports fan in your life, they got the best gear for the Dolphins, the Heat, the Panthers, the Miami Hurricanes, the Marlins. But so they got it all: hat, hoodies, jerseys, shirts, polos, something for the home, something for the car with a logo on it for any of the teams in South Florida. Go to Caneswear.com. If you're in South Florida, stop by their shop at 2655 South University Drive. It's the most affordable place on the internet to buy this stuff. So please go to Caneswear.com before you look anywhere else. Shout out to everyone watching at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page. And if you're watching this live right now, early on this Friday morning on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Super chats are open. If you want to leave us one, we will read it on the air before we end this show. All right. I want to talk about this because this seems to be the big story here the past 24 hours. ESPN.com article about Miami playing in Spain. And they spoke to Tom Garfinkel, who said, we asked for this and we want more, in that they want to be the NFL team for every Spanish-speaking country. They want to play overseas on a regular basis, kind of like how Jacksonville does in the UK, but with Miami, they want Spanish-speaking nations, and they want to cut a deal with a country or a location to set up something on a regular basis. So if you're one of those fans who are annoyed that Miami is losing a home game to play overseas, I'm afraid I got some bad news for you. Just, I guess off the top, Doug, what are your thoughts on this article and this news that we're going to be seeing a lot more of this and probably on a regular basis in the years to come?
Not too surprised, especially with the way the Dolphins operate. It's not a knock on them. I guess it's just good business sense with the Dolphins and the F1 and the tennis and, always expanding and trying to be, whatever. At any time that the Dolphins could play overseas, it seems like they always do play overseas. Weren't they the first? Them and the Giants were the first overseas game. I remember the big Jason Taylor robot looking thing. So, this isn't that big of a shocker to me. If we didn't have our roots in Miami since like 1966.
66, because it's a big year next year with the anniversary. Yeah.
There you go. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to move the Dolphins over there, kind of like the Jaguars are being talked about that because they're another team that is, like you said, with London. It sucks, but on the other end, it doesn't suck because we do have a big Spanish following. So a lot of the fans that can't afford to fly overseas get to see the team. But we'll just, you're going to lose a home game. Plain and simple. Next year we lose a home game because it goes 9-8, 9 away, 8 home.
Yep.
And then the year after it's back and forth. It's the back and forth. So if it's a consistent thing, we're going to consistently lose a home game, and just something you got to deal with and something you just got to push through. But, it's Tom Garfinkel and Stephen Ross, just trying to make this thing a bigger thing than it is.
Yeah, you're far too nice. Let me tell you, that was way too diplomatic. And here's the deal. I am not against teams playing internationally, but my thought process has always been every team should have to play one game and lose a home game like every 3 to 4 years. I think as long as it's fair, every team should have to. I have no problem with that because I understand the league needs to make money. Not needs to, but they want to make money and they want to make more money and, grow the game outside of here. I have no problem with it. I'm not one of these people like it's an American sport. It should only be played in America. No, I am open-minded to a point. The Jacksonville thing is weird. Because that owner owns a soccer team overseas, so he wants to play games over there to help his soccer team and do the cross stuff, and sort of cross promote his teams. And B, they don't sell any tickets in Jacksonville because nobody cares about the team in Jacksonville. So he has to give games over there to actually, make a buck and sell some seats. So that's a unique situation. Let's just call it what it is. This is a money grab. This is just a flat out money grab at the end of the day. And this is how you go 25 years without winning a playoff game when you're more concerned about making money than the actual product on the field. Again, if you want to go every 2 or 3 years or 4 years and give up one home game, I'm cool. If the long-term vision, and it is a long-term vision, this will not happen like next year. Like in the next 3 to 4 years, we're going to start something where each year we lose a home game. You're not a serious football franchise.
Yeah.
Because you don't give up a home field advantage once a year just to make money. Okay. Again, you want to do it every couple of years, go for it. Like you don't see the Tokyo Giants, play a 3-game set at Wrigley Field every year. Like this whole notion that you have to go every year all the time. It's just a money grab. And Ross is on the committee. I think he's the chairman of the committee for the NFL International League stuff where they, talk about, who's going where and stuff like this each year to play. So, he's probably like, well, since I'm the chair, I got to lead by example. Bullshit. You don't lead by example for anything else. Why start now? And here's the deal. I don't care how many fans of the Dolphins travel. I don't care how many fans of the Dolphins might live in these countries. You're giving up a home game. It's a neutral site game. And if you want proof of that, look at the stadium this Sunday. I've already seen pictures. They got one of the end zones painted for Washington. It's our home game. We should have, I know it's petty. I know it doesn't matter, but don't call it a home game. It's a neutral site game.
Yeah.
In one end zone in Washington colors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. And, you made a great point with you don't see a lot of these overseas teams coming and playing in the U.S.
No, because they don't care.
No. It's always the United States going out. Like, didn't we play?
They do like one series a year, like the first weekend where they send. Now it's always like the Dodgers because they have so many players from Japan on their team to play the first few games in Japan, that's fine. Again, I'm not against international games. I'm not. Miami, I have no problem if they want to go every 3 or 4 years, even lose a home game every 3 or 4 years and play in the UK or Argentina or Spain. That's fine. But to have a long-term vision where you want to do this every year and be like Jacksonville, because here's how it's going to start. Well, now we're doing one home game every year. Why don't we just stay over there for 2 weeks and do 2? You know how much money we're going to make that way? And then it's going to be like, well, our fans here in South Florida are selling tickets away to the road team. Yeah, we don't. Only because the product sucks. Don't blame the fans. The fans would go to the games and root for you if you were any good ever. It's like that's how the slippery slope starts. Again, this isn't going to happen right away. It's not going to happen right away. But like 2028, 2029, that might start the cycle. We cut a deal in, Spain, let's say, and once a year we're playing a game. And yeah, it's great for those fans over there. But the American fans traveling over, yeah, they might do it once. They might do it twice. That's going to be like, I ain't spending. I've already seen everything I need to say. I'm not spending that money again. That's going to wear thin real quick, especially when the team's losing too.
Oh yeah. Because no one wants to watch that product, and it's
a novelty now. It's a novelty now, but
and I know it's by chance, kind of like the Sunday night games and trying to predict things, but it seems like those overseas games are always duds when you have the teams that go.
For the most part, yes. The only times they try to make it good if it's the first time in a new market, like if it's like the first, like the first game, where was that week one game where it was like Packers versus Eagles like a year ago? Was that
Oh,
in
yeah.
Columbia or
That was like a
somewhere?
Friday of the first week of the
Friday,
season.
like
Yeah.
it's our first time ever in that one country. We'll give them a great matchup. Now every time after, they're gonna get crap.
Yes,
But
yes,
the
yes.
first time, they will actually put out there a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Enough about that. Miami beat the Bills last week, which is great. And look, as I've said, when it comes to like, losing on purpose for a higher pick, that's a little overrated in my book. First off, it's still early November.
Mhm.
Everyone's still kind of lumped together. We start to worry about that when you get to like after like in about like 1 month.
Mm.
So I'm not worried about that. It was nice to beat the Bills, hurt their season a little, maybe hurt their chances of winning the East. Not that I'm rooting for the Patriots, but screw the Bills. And plus, we never beat them. So
No.
I'm very happy with the win. But for every effect there is, there's also a reaction. And that win might have saved Mike McDaniel's job. Now, look, I think they weren't going to fire him anyways because they probably should have fired him when they fired Chris Greer. But they didn't. They want to give him every opportunity, which is horseshit to me, but okay. But let me play this out for you, Doug. We beat the Jets this year. Who gives a crap?
Mm.
They beat Atlanta without their quarterback and wide receiver. Who gives a crap? They beat the Bills, quality win. If we go off on a little bit of a run here, beating Washington with all their backups because everyone's hurt, beating the Saints who stink on toast, beating the Jets who aren't any good, maybe you pull out a win against Cincinnati because they can't stop a runny nose. Maybe week 18, the Patriots got everything locked up and they're going to rest their starters and you beat their second string. Are we, and by we, I mean Ross and Tom Garfinkel and Silman, are they going to fall for the fool's gold? Hey, he won 7 games, but only one of those is a real win. The other 6, they'd be garbage. Are they that dumb to fall for that?
I hope not. Because here's my thing, and I talked about this on Twitter, and someone pushed back and said they don't correlate.
Someone on Twitter pushed back. Shocking. I grabbed my chest.
That's my Twitter in a nutshell. Everyone tries to prove me wrong,
I
but I end up being right. Not to pat myself on the back, but I did say
real quick side note. I had someone actually fight with me that Champ Kelly is not a Chris Greer guy. I go, we had an opening. Chris Greer hired him. He brought him in. That doesn't mean he's a Chris Greer guy. He has nothing to do with Greer. There was an opening. Chris Greer hired him. You can argue that they might not think alike, but Chris Greer actually hired him and he brought him in. He wouldn't be here without Greer. That's not up for debate. That's the level of talk on Twitter. People just make up stuff. They make it up.
And now you have people defending Mike McDaniel. This and that. It's crazy. But Brian Flores got fired after starting 1-7 and then going 7-2, 7-1,
something like that. Yeah.
And they still fired him because there's underlining factors that went into him being fired, with him stop talking to the assistant coaches and being confrontational and yada yada blah blah blah. There still is an underlining factor with Mike McDaniel. My biggest one, and again, I don't know if the team sees this as the same way me and you do, he has not changed. He is the same guy over the past 4 years. And if you expect him after one season to change and be this hard nose, yelling on the sideline, different type of coach, that's not who Mike McDaniel is, and that's who he's never going to be. So as an owner, you have to sit back and look at back-to-back seasons of starting 2-6, and do you really think that he's going to, again, next year, not start 2-6? Now, there's a whole doodad, and I have a whole video plan on why they might not make a change. But if I'm a betting man, it all depends on these next 3 games. It all depends. And again, we talked about, beating Buffalo was fantastic. I wore my championship belt on my shoulder. I was rubbing in. I didn't give a crap. That was our Super Bowl. Like 7 straight games we lost. And not all of them were butt whoopings. Like we've lost by like 3 points and, 2 scores and stuff.
The 2 that killed them is the loss to the Panthers and then the loss to the Chargers. Those are the 2 that sting the most, because the Charger one was just 40 seconds and they couldn't hold the lead for 40 seconds.
And again, you come out and that's what I think pisses us fans off the most, is like, okay, you have
consistency.
yeah, you have those two close losses to good teams, right? And then you crap the bed against the Browns. Like you got mollywopped by the
Not even
Browns.
competitive. Not even
No,
competitive.
but then you make the Bills look like they're not competitive. Like Josh Allen was huffing for air with a red face on the sideline. Like that was one of the best games I've seen this team play in years. Like, and this is going back to 2023. Josh Allen, he was rolling out trying to do his backyard football stuff, and our secondary was sticking to those receivers like glue. Juju Brent's coming out of nowhere, like playing fantastic. I'm so glad we have him locked under contract next year because he is a bright, like, so, you see all these good things, but again, fool's gold. Let's see how they do in Madrid because again, I think if they lose to the Commanders, which
if they lose to the Commanders, he's got to be fired the moment that plane touches down in Fort Lauderdale. You have to fire him then.
And it's not out of the realm of possibility that they lose to the Commanders. Like Marcus Mariota is not a bad quarterback, and we don't do well against mobile quarterbacks. And yeah, Zach Ertz is outdated, but we don't do well against tight ends either. So I'm not saying I picked the Dolphins to win 24-14, which might be a death nail to the coffin because I picked them to lose to the Falcons 30-10, and I picked them to lose to the Bills 40-10. And you know how those two games ended. So, they might lose this game on Sunday morning. So to all the people who want those draft picks being higher, that's how you do it. And so, I honestly, if I'm the owner, I sit back and I watch him and I'm like, oh, fantastic. The only way he saves his job, in my opinion, is that they make the playoffs.
That ain't happening. It's just not happening. But here's the deal. If they do win 6 or 7 and they still let him go, that tells me one thing. Mr. Ross ain't calling the shots no more, and it's a family decision. Because I think if they win 6 or 7, Ross, the old Ross, would just be like, oh, he's staying. He's my guy. I think if they win 6 or 7 and they still let him go, and if he's still fired, that means this call was a group decision by the son-in-law, his 2 daughters. Like they came together and be like, you know what, Dad, enough. This guy ain't. So that would tell me that if it happens, we'll see. Here's the problem with this game in Spain. They do this all the time, Miami, and it's not up to the head coach. They do this as a whole organization. They fly out on Monday. They treat this like a vacation. They don't treat this like a game. Washington flew out on Wednesday. Okay, it's a few days later. You know, somebody's saying, what's the big deal? The big deal is they get real comfortable over there. We're in Spain. I'm going to go sightseeing, take some pictures. They treat, and the last few games over there, 2021 versus Jacksonville, that was still with Flores. They gave Urban Meyer one of his only 2 wins as an NFL head coach because the team wasn't ready because they spent the whole week in London partying. And then a few years ago versus the Chiefs in Germany, yeah, the game was somewhat close. The first half of the game, Miami was sleepwalking because they weren't prepared. Shocking because they're loving life over there. A few weeks ago in the Rams, I think it was the UK, it could have been one of these countries, I can't remember which one. They flew out Saturday, played Sunday, flew home after the game. It's a business trip. This is work. We're not out here to have fun. These guys make enough money. You want to see Spain? Go in May and June on your own time. That's not what this is about. But if they come out flat this week, that's going to be why. Because they treat this stuff like a vacation. They don't treat it like a work trip. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play Sunday. Because the past few times they've played these games overseas, I don't care what country, they played bad. They played really bad.
Yeah, 100%. And they also have a bye afterwards. So how many of these Dolphin players are going to stay in Spain a little bit longer? How many of them, like you said, are in that mindset of, this is nice. Oh,
fly over the wife and kids. We'll have some paella, have a little gazpacho. We're going to live it up. It's like, come on. So they better win this game. I wrote something yesterday up on our website saying, if they lose to this Commanders team with Marcus Mariota, their wide receivers out, no pain on the defensive line, Rodriguez, I think, is out too, their running back who actually starts for them. If they lose this game to that team with all those injuries, that win last week versus the Bills means nothing.
Yep.
You just wiped out all the joy. You wiped out all the meaning from that game. And here's something else about the Bills game. The last 2 times they've come to Hard Rock Stadium and played at 1 p.m., Miami's won. The games they've lost have been at night. This is why You don't move freaking games overseas on a regular basis. You try to play up to your home field advantage. And if I'm the Dolphins, I'm talking to the league next year, and I'm saying, you can do whatever you want with us, prime time, road, bye week. We don't care. We get the Bills at 1 o'clock at home. Probably the same with the Patriots, too, because they're pretty good now. We want those games 1 o'clock home. They can be at the end of the year. They can be at the start of the year. I want them 1 o'clock at home at Hard Rock Stadium because that's your home field advantage. Just try to get an edge here. Try to win games.
If they weren't playing overseas, it would be 3 straight home games with a bye in the middle of it. So that would have been a huge advantage for the Dolphins.
Yeah, well, we're the Dolphins. Last topic here. Did you see the little tidbit, little sprinkle from Dan Graziano of ESPN about Kyler Murray?
No, oh my God.
Okay, no, hold on, don't flip out. Fans all got this reaction. Now, look, you and me have spoken about this before. If they want to move on from him, you're going to trade Tua to a team, pay down some of the contract, trade him to a team to be a bridge quarterback. Correct. They're doing the same thing in Arizona. So it's not and I'm not saying it's a swap because it wouldn't be a swap. Miami would have to send him somewhere else, Tua. But Kyler Murray's contract's not as bad. After 2026, you can cut him. He has no money on a deal that is guaranteed. It would open up like $36 million in cap space. It's a 1-year rental to essentially take him off their hands. Again, you're not parting with anything big because you're taking a contract, giving up a 5th or a 6th round pick probably, if that even, just to take him off their hands, Arizona. If Miami can move on from Tua, because here's the thing I don't think a lot of fans understand. 2026 is going to suck for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
If they hold on to Tua, let's just call it what it is. He's an average quarterback. He ain't very good. And the roster ain't going to be great around him. It's going to be more rookies and stuff because they're not going to be guys out there spending money in March and April because they don't have it with the cap situation. So 2026 is going to be, it's going to look like the same team that we're watching now. Probably means it ain't going to be a good season. If you trade him and bring in Murray, might not be great, but at least you move on from Tua and you got a 1-year guy, bridge quarterback that you can move on from after. Now, I know the thing is, well, why make the trade? Just hold on to him for a year or two, then move on from him after the next year. I think contract-wise, you can save some more money moving on from Murray after 2026 than with Tua. So that would be the incentive to do this. He's not a long-term answer. No one's saying he is. But if they do fire McDaniel and the new head coach goes, I want nothing to do with Tua. He got the last 2 head coaches fired. He's got to go. Murray for 1 year ain't the worst idea I've ever heard, and I'll just leave it at that. Unless you just want to go, unless you just want to go sign Minshew and have him fight it out with Quinn Ewers and just like wave the white flag on a season before it even starts. Like I'm fine. I am fine with that. I know a lot of fans wouldn't be though, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't hate it. My whole thing about Kyler Murray, and he probably thrive in Miami, to be honest with you.
It's just 1 year. Like that's I don't care how great he plays, he's still going to be gone the next year because they're not going to pay him that money. He's still getting cut.
Because I have a video coming out. I think I'm going to bring it. I was going to bring it out, put it out tomorrow, but I think I'm going to do it during the bye because I need some content for the bye.
Exactly.
So you can check it out on Dolphin Collective, and you can check it out on the DolphinsTalk. So this might be a punt it year, right? And I've talked about, I've been mulling it over. I don't want to bring back Mike McDaniel. It's another situation.
I don't want any of them back. I want one of them's gone in Greer. Get rid of McDaniel. Find a way to get rid of Tua. Let's just move on with our lives at this point because I think you're just putting off the inevitable. And then you're going to hire a new GM. Spoiler, next year is going to suck. We're going to fire him, then McDaniel. And it's going to be another situation where it's a half measure. This year with Greer. Next year, it's like, no, you want 2 guys on the same timeline starting at the same time. Period.
Well, to play devil's advocate, we have the cap situation, which it's the cap's the cap. I've done it time and time again. You move on from like 3 or 4 players where you have $30 million in cap space. You could do a lot with that. But, you got your cap situation. You got the draft in 2027, which,
way better.
Moore is going back to college. Sellers is probably going back to college. You get better quarterback prospects in 2027 because I don't think we're going to suck as bad to get the number 1 pick and Mendoza isn't coming to Miami.
He ain't coming here. We already screwed that up. He ain't coming.
You got the Tua contract for 2026. So there might be, and I'm not saying I want this,
Yeah.
but there might be a situation where Mike McDaniel and Champ Kelly come back for one more year just to suck. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep doing what you're doing. At this point, I don't care. 2026 was going to be a punt regardless. And then 2027, this team looks more enticing to a potential a better GM and a head coach because of the draft picks, because of the cap isn't a nightmare anymore, and because now you have the opportunity to move on from Tua, you have the opportunity to get your quarterback, and you have the opportunity to now build what you want. Or, and again, this is what I hope happens, you tell the new GM this, right? You tell the new GM, listen, you have complete and utter control over this team. You get a grace period. You and the head coach of your choosing get a grace period of 2026 because we know what you need to do to make us better. So it's like, I could see both ways going. I'm hoping for the, essentially
Clean
everyone's
house.
gone.
Yeah, you want a clean house.
January.
I'm just not going to, like, I'd have a hard time if they kept on Champ Kelly. If they don't,
I agree.
If they don't even meet with anyone else and go, Champ, it's your job. To me, that is just a huge mistake.
Yes.
Like, what the hell? I mean, no offense. And if anyone from his family's watching, what the fuck has Champ Kelly done to just be handed this job? Like, he didn't do anything. Like, that win last week versus the Bills, people, Champ Kelly era. No, it's not. He just took over from the guy who was fired. The guy who was actually let go. A lot of the players on that roster won that game that he brought here. I mean, let's just be honest. We all hate him, and we're all happy he's gone, Greer. But a lot of those guys on that field who played well were brought here by Greer, not Champ Kelly, who was only here for 10 days in that role. I think that'd be a huge mistake. To me, the way they got to do it is that old Parcells, Mike Tannenbaum role, VP of football. Get someone for that, and that guy fires McDaniel, and that guy goes, I'm finding us a new GM, and I'm going to find us a new head coach, and they report to me, and I'll tell you what we're doing, Ross and Tom, but they report to me, and you get someone in that role. And it ain't Zach Thomas. It's not Jason Taylor. It's not Marino. You get someone who actually knows what they're doing, an older executive, someone who's been in a role before, someone who's actually been a head coach or someone who's been a front office person who wants that role, and you put them in that role, and they run the football operations, and that's it. The only guy modern, I will say, there's one exception to a modern player I would take, and he has no ties to the Dolphins. I'd only do it because the guy's a lunatic. He's a nut. He would jump in that job and probably work harder than anyone. That'd be Peyton Manning. Peyton, I'll sell you 2% of the team, become our VP of football operations, and let him run everything, because I think he'd give up the Manning cast in a second, and I think he would dive so headfirst into that role, he'd be outstanding at it.
Yeah, and on the collective, Omar brought up a really good fact that they should bring in a player, like an ex-player, to not necessarily make decisions, but at least sit in on the head coaching interviews. Because
we have that with Marino, though, don't we?
Not really. Marino is more, from what I'm hearing, and I don't want to bad talk.
Well,
Marino,
no, say it. I mean,
Marino. He's just there, kind of.
He's just there to shake hands with people, talk to the sponsors,
shake babies, and kiss hands.
Pretty much.
But like Omar said, when we hired Philman, and when we hired McDaniel, and when we hired Gase, and
Cam Cameron,
if you had like Jason Taylor, or Zach Thomas, or even Channing
they would have saw through the
Crowder,
bullshit. Yeah.
And sit in and just not even ask questions, but just listen to the head coaching interview. And then when the head coach leaves, look at the player and say, well, and that player goes, I would not run through a wall for that man, or that guy can't coach me, blah, blah, blah. You need a player's perspective, and you need a player's perspective, because that's where we've been with,
that's fine.
Joe Philman, with Adam Gase, and now Mike McDaniel. Especially Mike McDaniel, fantastic mind, right? Rich Eisen podcast, he had Bonner, I think his name was, or a former executive, saying fantastic.
Joe Banner,
yes, fantastic offensive coordinator mind.
Yeah, Joe Banner was great,
but
I'd hire him for that role.
Yeah, not a head coach.
Not a head coach. He said that. He goes, he was great, Joe Banner. How Chris Greer held his job for all these years, I don't know. Mistake after mistake after mistake. I have no idea how he kept his job. And then talking about the head coach, Mike McDaniel, he goes, nice offensive mind, but he ain't a head coach. I mean,
Exactly.
everyone knows that. I know fans of the Dolphins like to lie to each other. And since he drove by the elbow room, everyone loves him now. Mind you, we're 3-7. I'm all in. No, you're not. The guy sucks. Folks, don't be. Who cares? He drove by the. First off, I don't know what the troll was. He drove by the elbow room. He didn't flip him off. He didn't tell him to suck it. He just drove by in his car. I guess that's a troll now. I don't get it. I'm old, I know. But since he did that, fans love him. And it's like, no, you're right. I would say this. And I know he just said Peyton Manning. The one thing working against him was Peyton Manning was all in on Adam Gase. But okay, no one's perfect. No one's perfect. But yeah, that's what I would do. But we'll see. I don't know. I'll tell you, if they lose this game, Washington, there's no chance McDaniel's staying because everyone's on like over the moon with the win over the Bills. You finally beat them, and then you go out there and you lose to Washington. Marcus Mariota in 2025, not Marcus Mariota 2016. You lose Marcus Mariota 2025. Oh, it's good. He ought to be fired before the plane touches down in Miami.
Yep.
All right. That's all for today's show. Follow Dougley Do Wrong on Twitter. Fight with him there. He loves to fight with you. At Dougley Do Wrong. Check out his YouTube page. Check out the Dolphins Collective each week on YouTube. You know our website. Go to the website, DolphinsTalk.com. I'm on social media. I try not to fight with people anymore. I've become older and wiser. I just ignore people. There's a couple of people who just like want to fight with me, and I never respond. You think they might get the hint? No, they keep go for it. Say what you want. I'm not responding. Look, Champ Kelly's not a Chris Greer guy. Chris Greer had nothing to do with him. How did he get to Miami? Reggie McKenzie left. We had an opening. Chris Greer hired Champ Kelly. He's a Chris Greer guy. You might not want to think so, but he is. That's the level of conversation on Twitter. But if you don't like Twitter, sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra. Patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. Doug, I wish you lived a little bit closer. Because for the game versus the Jets in a few weeks, we are doing a live stream on Extra brunch at Dolphins Talk. Josh and Aaron from my site, who don't live too far from me, they're coming over to my house, and we're going to do a watch along with a big spread of food at my house. So we're going to talk about the food, we're going to eat, and we're going to watch the game, a watch along. Brunch at Dolphins Talk. You got to be a Patreon member. So go to patreon.com/ it's $3 a month, folks. Okay. I'm not asking for a kidney. It's $3. I can't make it any cheaper, honestly. And we got extra podcasts, private message board. We have contests where we give away Jarvis Landry autograph helmets and stuff like that. So sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/ Dolphins Talk. Doug, you go to bed. Thanks for joining me. Everyone have a great day. We'll talk to you again after a while. Don't forget, when you're on the road this weekend, we still must put it on. It's the highway profanity.